Welcome to On the Bench Extra, your weekly local football show. Joining me on the show as always this week is my partner in crime, Tom Reid. On the show this week, we'll be hearing from Hull City and Scunthorpe United ahead of their games this weekend, and we'll also have much more football discussion. You can get in touch with us on social media too. So, Reidy, hello.
Bonjour.
We are talking about spitting, not me at you. We're talking about the players. In the news lately, obviously we've heard about Evans and Cisse and the, forgive the pun, the spat that they had. So, what's your view on it?
I think it should be punished, simply because Premier League players nowadays, and most footballers, they're role models. You know, you've got young Jeremy at a football match, he sees these players spitting at each other. Is he going to do that in Sunday League? Probably. So, the role models, should be punished.
Young Jeremy, a fictional character?
Yes, of course, yes. No, it's totally coincidental if Jeremy goes to a football game this weekend.
Okay. Looking at it then, we've seen the bans that they've got. John Evans banned for 6 games, Papi Cisse for 7. Do you think that the bans are fair?
Well, no. 6 and 7, surely it's the same offence that's occurred. Are both players guilty of it? I think, you know, there's always ifs and buts and variables. I think, you know, if 2 players are caught in a spitting, you know, whatever, they should both receive the same punishment. So 6 and 7 is a bit random.
We look at George Boyd, when he was fined and banned last season for spitting at Joe Hart. Similarities there, or what do you think in comparison to the Cisse and the Evans incident?
Well, spitting. It doesn't matter in what game, what profile footballer you are. I think you should. You know, they should be punished because you're on the big stage here. You know, you're role model, you're representing the football club. I mean, if we was at work and we spat at someone, I don't think we'd get away with that.
Boyd was banned for 3 matches. I seem to remember the Boyd one was because he was shouting. I didn't think it was a deliberate spit. But we've seen them in the past. We've seen serial offender El Hadj Diouf. We were talking about him a minute ago before the show. You know, he was terrible for it, absolutely awful. I remember him spitting at Ian Dezieu when he was at Wigan or Portsmouth. And if someone spat at you, what would your reaction be?
Well, if I was in the street or if I was a footballer?
If you was a footballer in that sort of field, in the arena.
In the heat of the game, you'd complain. I think you'd get very angry. You'd be like, no, it's not quite assault, but it's quite disgusting, really. Isn't it? You know, you're playing football. You shouldn't be having that towards you. And
the famous Frank Rijkaard spit at Rudy Volek. Remember that with his long locks of hair and the nice grog falling down his kale. Obviously, we shouldn't laugh because it's terrible.
No, we shouldn't. I'm laughing because it shouldn't happen in football. You know, you shouldn't be seeing that. Is it any different to abuse and other chants? You know, what are you going to do to police these things at football matches?
It's a minefield, and I'm sure the FA will decide on it sometime. So looking back at the latest set of fixtures then. Hull weren't in action last week due to the FA Cup quarter-finals. Scunthorpe lost 2-0 at Crewe Alexandra after 2 goals in 2 minutes from Greg Lee and Marcus Haber. The win extends the Irons' winless run to 5 games. Grimsby beat Woking 2-1 thanks to goals by Ollie Palmer and John Paul Pittman. They're now 4 games unbeaten after this win. And North Ferriby beat Stalybridge Celtic 2-0 thanks to goals from Tom Denton and Danny Clark. A welcome triumph for Billy Heath's side in their final home game before the big day at Wembley. We will start it with Scunthorpe United, Reidy. They haven't capitalised, have they, on these games they had in hand?
I said to you last week as well, that is a game Scunthorpe could lose because of recent form. They did lose that. You know, we were praising them not so long back, and you know they're still improving under Robbins, but disappointing of late.
I think I went for the win in that game, so I was well off.
Yeah.
Grimsby Town, what a massive win that was for them at Woking.
I don't think, that win's actually more significant than we think because other results went Grimsby's way. You will need some luck on the way to winning the division or finishing in the playoffs. Last weekend was there was a bit of luck there for Grimsby as well as their great win as well.
I believe the Woking manager earlier on in the season had said something about the worst Grimsby side he'd ever seen. However, they have now taken 6 points from Woking.
He wasn't a happy man at Blundell Park, was he? But yeah, I think the double over Woking proves that Grimsby are a good side, or it proves that Woking are a poor side, I don't know.
Woking were one of the teams that were in and around Grimsby looking for a playoff place. So what does that result tell us in terms of the league?
That tells you that, you know, it is a tight league, but Grimsby have improved since that, and Woking obviously they've declined in form. You know, it is up and down this season, but Grimsby they've they've risen to the occasion so far, and they've improved and improved. And you know, they have their dips, but they've got better.
And I think it's a really professional performance, especially on the back of a couple of disappointing, although the results were good, disappointing performances against some of the teams towards the lower ends of the table. So beating Woking, I think, is a really, really good result.
Yeah, heads could have dropped, but no, they've carried on going. And I think, you know, do you give credit to Paul Hurst for that?
I think you have to. I think the tactics are obviously working. Great result away from home. Last but not least, North Ferriby. League form hasn't been great lately. They turned it round for the result midweek. So how big is that for them?
I think this might be a reflection of, you know, the confidence and the ecstasy that's going around the club at the minute. You know, massive win, obviously, to get to Wembley. We mentioned that, and then obviously the lads are on cloud nine really. So they've gone out there and just thought, you know what, let's just give it a go. You know, we're in Wembley, we're in the final. This league fixture, you know, we can beat this team. We can beat anyone. You know, that's probably what they're thinking. We
said about the league form taking a dip because of the cup. We've mentioned that on numerous occasions. Do you think they're now looking to solidify a mid-table spot, or do you think they still believe they can rise?
I think the aim this season will be, you know, let's just, you know, we're at Wembley. What an achievement for this season! It's more than they could have dreamt of. You know, let's stay in the division. I don't think they're at risk of falling out. You know, let's just, you know, this season can be forgiven if we finish mid-table.
I think North Ferriby, with it being the last home game before Wembley, they'd wanted to woo the crowd a little bit and get them on their side.
Very good point. Yeah, obviously they want to sell tickets for Wembley. What better opportunity than a home win for the fans that went?
Definitely. Thank you, Reidy. We've already mentioned Scunthorpe's result against Crewe. Here's the views of Scunthorpe United ahead of this weekend's game.
The injury situation is quite all right. Yeah, we've got some back fit and some are still out. So that's as much as you're getting. This is a big game, a big derby game against probably the biggest club in the division. Definitely the biggest club in the division, with a decent squad. Nigel's a good manager. He's been able to add to his squad because of the cup runs that they've had. They've taken some scalps along the way, and you know, I think that they are a threat for anybody. We're looking forward to it. Absolutely looking forward to it, and I think they've sold their allocation. I think that sort of, by definition, makes them a really strong outfit and well followed outfit, and you know, I think we can look forward to a really good game against one of the fancied sides in the division. Gives us a real marker of where we are and where we can get to this season. You know, we've got 12 games left to really try and pick as many points up as we possibly can do. But in fairness, turn the corner from the 2 draws and the defeat we've had in the last 3 games. I think it'll be a really good game. I think it'll be a good day. I think we can look forward to the game with relish. And again, it's another opportunity to try and get 3 points. You know, we're looking for a stronger finish as we possibly can do. The team will reflect that on Saturday. I'm absolutely positive of it. The crowd will demand that we're at it. You know.
The views of Scunthorpe United then. Football management is a cutthroat business. I've not said that one in a while. We're going to look this week at Nigel Pearson. Mr. Reid, Nigel Pearson, what do you think to the job he's doing at Leicester? At the bottom of the table, so obviously he's not been great, but...
I think when he joined it was a stab in the dark. I've not said that for a while. You know, every club's different. You know, obviously they are promoted obviously into the Premier League the last time, so it was always going to be tough. Can you really expect Leicester to compete with their money? And I think they're doing okay.
I personally thought they'd be one of the teams that came up that stayed up. I thought they looked the most solid out of the 3, the QPR, Burnley and Leicester. I thought the basis Leicester had and the players they had performing in the Championship.
It's a good squad.
Yeah, but they had players like Knockouts. He was playing well in the Championship and he's been terrible. He's not really had a chance to shine.
They had a few, I think we mentioned it, you know, 3 months back on this show. They have got key players. We looked at their key players and who will be important to staying in the Premier League. You know, I don't think they've performed to their highest level, actually. They could be, you know, if they can turn that around, you know, they've got every chance of staying in the Premier League.
Ojoa was a player at the start of the season who was firing in the goals. He looked like a really good Premier League signing. He's now got 9 in 29, so his goal-to-games ratio has dropped massively. The next top scorer after him is Jeffrey Schlupp, who has not been a regular at all.
Tells you everything. You know, the squad, I don't think there's any form and consistency there from any of the players or the team as a whole. You know, that 5-3 win against Manchester United, you know, that what a performance. Everyone was like, you know, great Leicester team. They've got every chance of staying up. And I don't think they won in like 11 games after that.
Well, that was the last time they won back-to-back games was the 5-3 game against Manchester United. They've got the new guy Kramaric in. Is he going to score goals?
I'd hope so. You know, I'm sure he'll get 5 or 10 maybe on you know, if he can perform at his consistent level.
Sack or stick?
Stick.
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 It's only because you're scared of him. Right, here's the first instalment of this week's head-to-head between me and Reidy.
In 30 seconds, can you name the Scunthorpe starting 11 versus Sheffield United from September 2012?
Sam Slocum, Eddie Nolan, David Murphy, Niall Canavan, Mark Duffy, Jimmy Ryan, Carl Hawley, Leon Clark, Marcus Williams, Colin Kennedy, Matt Barrow. Not a bad effort, Reidy.
Not bad at all. Good memory, you, aren't you?
Can you beat it?
Aye, you'll be surprised this week.
Not sure about that. Right. Before we go to the break, here's this week's halftime teaser. Which former Mariners striker spent 4 years as assistant manager at Chester between 2010 and 2014? We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to On the Bench Extra. Now, before the break, I asked you which former Grimsby Town striker was assistant manager at Chester between 2010 and 2014. Now, the answer was Gary Jones. Well done if you got that one at home. Still to come on the show, we assess Grimsby's title chances. We also hear from Hull City manager Steve Bruce, and we preview the upcoming games. But first of all, here is the second instalment of mine and Reidy's head-to-head.
In 30 seconds, can you name the Scunthorpe starting 11 versus Sheffield United from September 2012?
Ched Evans. None. Literally none. Why did I even say Ched Evans?
Terrible, Reidy.
I told you you'd be surprised.
Absolutely terrible. Honestly,
Zero.
you are so poor. We're sacking you. We're getting rid. Right, the answers, if you were playing along at home, were Sam Slocum, Christian Ribeiro, David Murphy, Niall Canavan, Tom Newey, Josh Walker, Andy Barcham, Mark Duffy, David Prutton, Mike Grella and Connor Jennings. Thank you very much to Greg for that. Some lovely stats yet again. Right, moving on now. We got the views of Hull City manager Steve Bruce ahead of this weekend's tie against Leicester.
Well, my experience with it, you know, no matter whether you play Leicester or one of the top teams, they're all difficult. They're all, and I think that's the beauty of this league. I think we all know who's going to be in the bottom 8, just like we can predict the bottom 6. You might not get the right in terms of numbers, but you know who's going to be there or thereabouts at the top end and at the bottom end. And it's the accumulation of points for us. And if we can get to 30 with 9 games to play, and if I'm going to be honest here, if we can beat Leicester, it's going to be very difficult for Leicester to catch us. With 9, 10, 11 points with 9 games to play. So there's the big incentive for us. If we can go to Leicester and get a result, then for me, it's going to be very difficult for Leicester to catch us. So I think that's what we've got to try and do. And in the context of the whole thing, if we can get to the magical 30 points mark with 9 games to play, psychologically, it's a big, huge number.
You look back at the game you had over the Christmas period, obviously not a good day for you at Hull City then. Does that game in itself have any bearing on this?
No, it doesn't. I mean, we played so well that day. It was one of them ones where I think we had something like 22 attempts on target and didn't manage to score. But it was Leicester's day on that particular one. Well, I think for us the one thing, we need if we can get a result for us would be terrific. Because as I said, if we get a result, then it's going to be very difficult for Leicester to catch us. That's the way I see it. You know, and for Leicester, yeah, possibly it is. You know, you look at, you know, with after today, we've got 9 games left. After the Saturday, we've got 9 games left. So they're on, you know, we're counting down a little bit, and all to play for. So a big, huge game.
Fantastic there to have the views of Hull City, who will be featuring on the show from now on. Great to have media accreditation there. Right, moving on now. Grimsby Town, Reidy, been fantastic lately for the club. Now mounting a real title challenge, which I believe you said wouldn't happen.
I did say that, and I'll be honest, there's every chance they can do it, but I personally don't think they will. Of course, it's possible mathematically, but there's a lot of games to be played. I still think they'll finish in the playoffs. But there is a chance they could win that. You know, I'm not being pessimistic, but I'm just being realistic.
Realistic Reidy?
Well, if you like.
Midweek, they were third, of course. Macclesfield won in midweek, which put them down to 4th. But it's not all doom and gloom, is it?
No, not at all, no. There's every chance that they can do it, of course. I think the optimism comes from fans because Grimsby have played, if you like, their toughest games. They've played those teams around them, barring Eastleigh next weekend. Barnet, however, Bristol Rovers, them teams have still got to play each other, so they will drop points. So I think that's where the optimism comes from.
The statman Greg has had a look at the games that all the teams at the top have got coming up, and if they base it on the reverse fixtures and choose the same scores, Grimsby would be second with 87 behind Barnet, who have 90. But as we've seen, Barnet have had a bit of a capitulation lately. Yeah,
they've dropped points. Obviously, Grimsby have done the double over Barnet, so Barnet aren't, you know, the warriors they were at the start of the season. Rovers dropped points. It's a shame, you know. What if Grimsby could beat Bristol Rovers on one occasion? What if they could beat Macclesfield on one occasion? You know, it's all what ifs and buts. So that's why I say I think the playoffs are still, you know, going to be the finishing point. But yeah, they could win the title with a bit of luck as well.
I've been speaking to a lot of Grimsby fans about it, and they've said, what if, as you said, the what ifs, we'd have beaten some of the lower teams earlier on in the season, if we'd have beaten Nuneaton, if we'd have beaten Telford. You know, can you really look at it like that?
Of course you can, yeah. They're the games you have to win if you want to win this division. They've still got Dover and Southport to come, and I think, you know, they lost to Southport earlier in the season and they drew with Dover early in the season. So, you know, had them results been different, you know, it could have been a different story right now.
Grimsby got a game in hand, of course, on Macclesfield, who are now 3 points ahead, and they've got a game in hand on Bristol Rovers, who are 5 points ahead. Also 3 points behind Barnet. For the mathematicians, it's absolutely lovely. For us, it's a bit of a pickle.
Well, yeah, until the game's even out, it's always tough to call. But for example, Barnet win that game in hand, they go to 74 points. Grimsby win their game in hand, they go to 71 points. So that's 3 points between top spot and Grimsby if results go that way. So they're 1 win away then from winning that division. So if they could have beaten Southport, they could have been top, but who knows?
All them numbers, really, you sound like a bingo caller. Are you saying they're going to go up?
2 fat ladies say they might go up.
So they might go up? You're not saying will go up?
There's every chance that they could drop out of the playoffs as well, because, you know, your Eastleighs, your Halifax have game in his hand, they could overtake Grimsby if Grimsby lose 2 or 3 in a row.
Well, I think they can do it. Right, let's have a look at this weekend's games then. Hull City are back in action as they face Leicester City at the King Power Stadium. Scunthorpe haven't won for 6 games since beating Chesterfield 2-0. The Iron will look to get their season back on track and pull away from the relegation zone against Sheffield United. Grimsby are on the road again, this time away at Chester FC. The Mariners will be taking nothing for granted despite the fact that they haven't lost at Chester since October 2004 when they were defeated 2-1. Despite North Ferriby losing the reverse fixture last month 2-0, they have yet to lose at Keys Park against Hednesford, having won on their last 2 visits. Right, Reidy, we're going with Hull first of all against Leicester, relegation battle in the Premier League.
Massive game this. Again, if you want to stay in the Premier League, you have to beat the teams in and around you in that mini league. Leicester are one of them for Hull City. You know, and as Steve Bruce alludes to, you know, you need to win these games, you need 3 points.
Are they going to be able to score the goals to get the 3 points? Because that's been the issue, and Doy's come in and he's looked good. Apart from that, there's not really anyone that's scoring.
No, you're right, yeah, that chap and Doy, I think you're his #1 fan.
I am.
You loved him.
Yeah.
He's been scoring important goals, so yeah, a goal from him would be very important. You know, can Leicester score the goals as well? You know, they're in a similar position to Hull City with the same level of squad, I suppose, if you like. So I'll say a draw, a close game, I think, with that one. No team will want to lose that.
No, I think I'd go for a draw as well. The last meeting between the sides at at Leicester Stadium ended 3-1 to Leicester, and that was in the Championship back in 2012. Moving on to Scunthorpe, Sheffield United, that's a really tough encounter.
Yeah, I think Sheffield United, they're one of the better teams this season in that division, in League One. They are pushing for promotion. I think they're in and around the playoffs, so that'll be a very tough game. And I can see Scunthorpe coming unstuck again there if they're not careful, because recent form, they're not playing to, they're not getting the results. So I think Sheffield United might beat them.
I think I'd go with a 2-0 Sheffield United win there. I think they'll be too strong. Scunthorpe not on a great run either, so I think it makes it difficult. And Sheffield United are looking to get towards the automatic promotion.
Yeah, I'm not saying Scunthorpe are overly ridiculously poor, but Sheffield United are a strong team, and those strong teams have been beating Scunthorpe this season.
Far bigger budget as well.
Yeah.
Grimsby away at Chester. Is it the Jester at Chester this weekend?
I think it is. Hashtag Jester at Chester, is that?
I think it is, yeah.
Well, it's great to see that from the fans. They're obviously in good spirits because of this title push now, and it's good to see the fans getting behind the club. The fans deserve this promotion, obviously, as the club need the promotion. So it's nice to see the fans travelling there in good spirit and supporting the team through what has been an up and down season.
The last meeting, excuse me, at Chester Stadium was 0-0 draw. They won't be wanting a ball draw again, surely.
No, I can see Grimsby winning this. I really can, actually. Chester, obviously, nothing to play for really this season. Grimsby, everything to play for. They'll want to go out there. Disley's hit a bit of form. Obviously, Jolly's been a great signing. Palmer, as you say, has been a good signing. They can make a difference in games, and I think they will this weekend.
Looking at the previous results between the two sides, Chester FC obviously were Chester City, been reformed. Combined, Chester and Chester City have won 13. Grimsby have won 22 with 7 draws. So Grimsby have the upper hand in previous encounters. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, obviously stats don't mean everything. It just points in towards maybe what could happen. But again, I think this weekend, with the fans travelling down and that support behind the team, I think Grimsby will get that win.
Will they take a 1-0 win, the fans, despite complaints?
Yes, of course they will. Yeah, they'll take that 1-0 win if that's the case.
North Ferriby United away at Hednesford Town.
Hednesford, a good team. As you say, they lost the previous encounter. And let's face it, we know where their eyes are, mate. They're on Wembley, so they could lose that game. They might, as you say, players don't want to go in 100%. They don't want to break a shin or anything like that. It's an important game in the league, but they might lose that game just because of that final. They won the last meeting. It was January of last year. They won 1-0 away at Hednesford. So is that a good sign for them? I don't think that means too much, to be honest. Last season, obviously, North Ferriby were almost promoted. This season, they're a mid-table side. It's a very different season. They've gone in opposite directions, if you like, in the league, but the cup, they've progressed in, so their eyes are on that cup. Thank you, Reidy. Well, that's it for another week. Don't forget, for all your other sports discussion, you can join On The Bench every Tuesday at 8 p.m. This week's presented by Rob Underwood. Thank you very much to Scunthorpe United and Hull City for their views this week, and also to my co-presenter Tom Reed. Pleasure. Don't forget, viewers, you can also get in touch with us on social media. Details are on your screen now, and also by email. Thank you very much for joining us this week, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.